We're back. This time we're going to be taking a look at the Temporal Cold War Month 2 event, Future Tense. Going to start right off here with the resource. This is what you get for just participating in the event. As long as you go and you sign up at your local store, you're going to be getting one of these. This is our Advanced Technologies resource, and we'll jump in and take a look. There's our Advanced Technologies. 5 points. This card explains the rules for Advanced Technologies resource card and serves as a reference to remind players of its effect. During the activation phase, any ship in your fleet may do the following. 1. Disable one of its tech upgrades to use an action from its action bar as a free action. Or 2. Discard one of its already disabled tech upgrades to use an action from its action bar as a free action. The ship cannot perform any other free action in the round that it uses either of these abilities. Not one of the best ones out there. Definitely interesting, useful on certain builds, especially if you have some expendable tech upgrades that you really don't mind disabling. Free actions are always nice, but these technically aren't free when they come at a cost, especially for disabling and discarding upgrades that you're either going to need actions for later to re-enable, or that you paid points for if you're discarding them. So you have to keep that in mind too. Not one of the better resources. I think we have other ones out there that are definitely going to get used before this. So the scenario for this month's event is that there's a small abandoned craft in space. Players are going to start on opposite ends of the map, and the goal is to try to control this ship. You have your basic objective token to represent the adrift vessel, and you're going to be using a bunch of mission tokens, which are set aside for now. The ship token basically has the stat line of 0 attack, 0 agility, 1 hull, no shield. It's just an adrift relic basically. And it can be destroyed, it can be shot at, but it can't move or anything on its own. During the course of the game, any ship in your fleet that has a tech upgrade slot also gains the ability to use a tractor beam. If they're within range 1 of the object, as an action, they can place a red target lock on the objective and a blue target lock by their ship, in which case they have a target lock locked on there. Any number of ships can lock onto there at the same time. And for every tractor beam that's locked on past the first 2, there's a chance you might destroy the ship. You roll a attack die for each tractor beam that's locked on past 2, and on a roll of a crit, the ship is destroyed. So at the end of the activation phase, if a single ship has a target lock on the objective here, they're going to be considered to be in control of it, and they're going to place a mission token on their ship card. Then during the planning phase, any ships that have tractor beam locks on the objective can choose whether to maintain that lock or drop it. If they drop it, they go about their normal planning phase. If they choose to maintain their lock, they do not get to choose a maneuver for their planning phase. They remain stationary, but at the same time, they don't get to move or change facing or any of that. They do, however, still get to make a action as normal and make a attacks as normal. Now there's 2 ways to lose your target lock onto the objective. The one I already said is that during the planning phase you can opt to drop your tractor beam, in which case you go about as normal. The other way is that every time a ship that's maintaining a tractor beam gets hit, after the combat is resolved, the attacker is going to roll 5 red dice, the defender is going to roll 5 green dice. If the attacking player rolls a number of battle station results equal to or more than the defending player does, that breaks the target lock. Otherwise, it'll remain. During the activation phase, if a single ship has control of the object and its tractor beam, it can then take an action to bring that small craft on board. If they do so, you pick up the objective token and place it on the ship card for the ship that picked it up. You're now in control of that. Once the objective has been picked up by a ship, it's considered equipped on that ship and is no longer able to be targeted by anything or anything like that. If the ship carrying it is destroyed, the objective is also destroyed. The game ends when either one fleet is completely wiped out or time is reached. After the game's over, you're going to get 5 extra points for each of the mission tokens that you have on any of the ships in your fleet. And at the end of the game, if the small craft was picked up by a ship in your fleet, whoever did that's going to get a bonus 20 fleet points for that. If at some point during the game someone destroys the objective by either shooting at it or by trying to lock on an extra tractor beam that does damage that destroys it while it's still on the table, that player is actually going to lose 10 fleet points. Once it's been picked up by another ship, you can destroy that ship and there's no penalty for it. Kind of an interesting scenario, and I really like the way they try to do new things with these. Still wish they were giving us actual tokens that represented various aspects like they used to in the original OPs. I think they've gone kind of the cheap way out using the generic objective tokens and the mission tokens from the base set. But if it cuts costs down, keeps the game going longer, I'm okay with that. I just really liked having some actual objective tokens that actually represented what they were supposed to be in the missions. Still an interesting scenario and kind of a fun one to play. If you manage to win the month 2 event here for the Temporal Cold War, prize ship here is the Azadi Prime. It's the aquatic cruiser, and I'm going to do a video on that separate, so if you're interested in that, check that out, and we'll go through everything that comes with it. That pretty much wraps it up for the month 2 OP event here, and we'll see you in the next video.